Hello, this is Suzanne Long, accounting professor with Jackson College, and today we're going to be looking at performance evaluation and decentralized operations. Decentralized operations. So, most of what we're going to do today is hands-on. I picked a practice problem that includes both pieces, so to speak, the idea of decentralized operations with a contribution margin statement, and then the idea of performance evaluation with a few ratios and measures. To do this, you really need some background information. There's some pieces in this problem that you'd either have to look up or use a textbook. I'm popping up the my reference sheet that goes along with this course and this chapter. So you could do something like this, where I've got, here's my worksheet, so to speak, here, where I'm going to practice performance evaluation and decentralized operations work. And then over here, same screen, I've got my reference sheet. This could just be Google, where you're looking things up as you go if you need to. So let's see what we've got over here. We got some opening information. Notice it's kind of all over the place. There's just a whole hodgepodge of information here. And then if I look here, I see hardware, software, like some kind of computer company. And we've got hardware components, hardware accessories, and software. We've got three categories of products and three selling prices, three variable costs, etc. The first thing we're asked to do is called a contribution margin statement. And it looks like this. So that's the kind of thing you could Google or look up, or you'll see it here in the in this little reference sheet here. Right there. That's how I want it to look. And I'm going to go ahead and adjust there we go, because I'd like them both to stay up just like that. So this example here in the gray is more detailed. This example over here in the green that we're going to be working on today is more streamlined. There's less detail. So we're going to start right here with this contribution margin statement. Contribution margin, we've seen that before. That's sales minus variable equals contribution margin. So that's where we're going to start. Keep it simple. Sales, we're going to start with hardware components right here. And we need, okay, how much are they selling for? $120 per unit times how many units? 40,000. Yearly sales. And I don't think it said this in the problem, but let's just add this. So notice there's no dollar signs. These are units, and then dollar signs up here per unit. So we've got $120 selling price per unit times 40,000 units. So that's sales components equals 120 times 40,000. Then we're going to do the same thing with accessories. $35, and then the quantity there is 30,000. 35 and 30,000. And software, 50 and 50,000. Then I'm just checking back over my formulas, make sure I didn't miss anything. And then notice the final amounts are quite large, right? 4.8 million, millions of dollars here. And look back at your prices. I shouldn't say prices, your selling price and quantities. Okay, that looks reasonable. And then I just kind of eyeballed my formulas. So I'm clicking below, but I'm looking on this line up there, checking like, yep, okay, those look good. All right, variable cost is going to be right here. And sometimes I do, like to check it off. Let's do this. I'm going to go up in alignment. No, font, strike through. Okay. So I'm like checking off, yep, I used that information. Okay, variable cost. We're going to do the same kind of thing here. How much is variable cost per unit? 90 times the same units. So here I'm going to have 90 times 40,000. And the next one's going to be 20 times 30,000. I'm not using cell references. I'm typing it out. You could do either way. Last one, 20 times 50,000. Sometimes it's nice to see the number, but of course it's fine to just say equals, click, times click and enter. And then again, kind of scan these. Does this look reasonable? Especially now that we can compare it to sales. These should all be less than sales because these are all less than sales. And again, you can click through your formulas and double check. All right, let's check that one out. That was up here, font and strike through. Now I left my formulas alone. So contribution margin was a subtraction. This minus this equals this. And you see that up here. So I left my formulas in. So what you see here in the contribution margin statement is like self-populating with totals. The formulas are doing their thing. What I do need is right here. I need a total right here for the whole company. So if I were to take this company and say, okay, we make 3 things, and I need to add them up. So I need an auto sum here. Look, it's like, do you want to add that up? No. And then I could pull that down. And then again, just notice, this should be 8 minus 5 equals 3. Yeah, and does 8 seem reasonable? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah. Does 5 seem? Yeah. So as you're going along, you just got to check and make sure things look reasonable. All right, traceable fixed costs. So we've got sales, variable. Okay, what about fixed cost? And we're going to have 2 kinds of fixed costs. We're going to have the fixed costs that we can say, we know these fixed costs go with each one of these 3 production areas. Or we've got these kind of costs that are just common to the whole company. So 2 kinds, traceable and common. Notice that traceable is given right up here. So we're going to drop those in. 900, 300, 800. Yeah, I'm in like I just want to enter things mood today. 938 as opposed to cell references. And a total here. And we can cross things off up here. Strike through. Okay. So we had contribution margin, and we subtract traceable fixed costs. That takes us down to takes us down to the margin. And then the next thing is common fixed cost. So right here, there's a formula equals this minus this. So we've got the 3,150,000 subtract the 2 million equals the 1,150,000. All right, now we need common fixed costs. Now in this problem, this piece of information was hanging down below the table like in its own paragraph. I didn't even see it the first time I looked at this problem. I had to go back and look for it specifically. So again, always read everything in the problem. Don't be like me. Read everything. So when I was putting together this file, I added it to the bottom of the box of information. So that's why it looks kind of odd. It's just kind of hanging out down here at the bottom. Common fixed cost, so that's $200,000 for the whole place. We cannot trace it, and we're not going to allocate it to the other areas. It's just going to stay here in the total column. Total margin, segment margin, total common fixed costs, and a total income from operations for the whole company. All right, we can check this one off. And we are done with the segmented contribution margin statement. That's it. Remember, contribution margin is the heart of it. Sales, variable, contribution margin. Fixed costs are getting split. They're getting split because of these segments or areas of the company. So I want to talk about that. Decentralized operations. Decentralized operations means a couple of things, but some of it is our company has sections, it has divisions, it has departments, it has different areas of operation. So you could say the hardware components, maybe they're in their own building. They have their own building, their own everything, their own machines, their own people, their own management, separate from a different building for hardware accessories, separate from hardware software. Maybe they're all different places. It could be it's all the same building, but it's different parts of that building. So there's a lot of different ways this could shake out. But the idea with performance evaluation is, say we're evaluating software. Who's the plant manager for software? Who's in charge of software production? Who's the vice president over software product line? Who's that person? So when we look at performance evaluation, we're getting at who's responsible for which area and what is each person responsible for. So up in the key topics sheet, you'll see some different ways that people can be evaluated. If you're not responsible for, if your position doesn't put you in charge of a certain, like say you're not in charge of hiring, well then the cost center, controlling costs wouldn't be part of your job, so to speak. Payroll, labor is going to be a huge cost. So it depends on what you're responsible for. If you're in charge of the whole thing, like a vice president, that would be a profit center level position, vice president of the software division, then you're responsible for everything, generating sales, controlling costs, labor issues, everything. So these performance evaluation measures start with who's responsible for what and in what area and what part of the company. So there's kind of the words around that, and then I kind of like the picture. Like, Ed, just show me what it looks like. Oh, I get it. I can see there's 3 product divisions. So I can imagine, yeah, there's 3 areas of responsibility. There's 3 areas for performance review also. So decentralized, spread out, different departments, different segments, different areas. But decentralized also is almost like a philosophical term that has to do with, you see it over here at the top, the official definition. It has to do with spreading out decision-making and authority around the company. So different work environments have different styles of management. It could be more centralized or more decentralized in terms of authority, power, control, and decision-making. So let's keep going. And I want to scroll. I want to get us to, my computer's acting kind of goofy. Part B, C, and D. B is segment margin percentage. C is return on investment, ROI. D is residual income. So what is a margin percentage? A margin percentage, like contribution margin percentage, is sales divided by the margin to get to the percentage. So maybe we should add that one over here. I don't know that one's here. Yeah, I think I'm going to add that here at the bottom. Segment margin percentage. You would have to come back to the idea of contribution margin percentage, which we know from an earlier chapter, to expand that and convert that into the idea of a segment margin percentage. But it would be sales minus the margin, divided by the margin to get to the percentage. Okay. Return on investment is a new formula, and it's over here. Return on investment, net income from operations divided by average operating assets. So that's what I've got over here. Income from operations divided by average operating and assets equals our return. So I'm taking that formula and just kind of putting it, in this kind of documentation here, and then I can plug in my information here. Residual income is net income from operations subtract average operating. This isn't showing up all the way. Still not showing up all the way. There we go. Net income from operations subtract this. Operating assets times minimum rate of return. So we see that here. It's going to be this, subtract this. And I have some ideas for improving this as we go along. So let's wrap up part B, C, and D. Just one second. Okay, I'm going to share some of my thinking with you on how this file is formatted, and I'm going to change it. So I added over here segment margin percentage. It's segment margin divided by sales. And you see segment margin up here. Sales minus variable, less traceable fixed equals segment margin. So we're going to be using these three amounts right here. So actually, let me leave it like that. So it's going to be segment margin divided by sales. I would rather have these flipped around, if you know what I'm saying. So I'm just going to do that real quick. I think this would be much better this way. Segment margin divided by sales equals the margin percentage. So I'm just switching those around so it's like in order. I think I had sales first because sales was first. I don't know. So okay. Now I need to do that over here. Segment margin on top, sales on the bottom. Okay, so now, and we're going to have to change this right here. Or I need to change that right here. Okay, let's get the segment margin in. Segment margin is right here. 300, 150, 700. Oh, and by the way, B, C, and D is all, we're calculating for the segment, we're not doing the total. Sales, up here, 4812. There's 4.8 million and 1,050,000 and 2.5 million. Okay, and then we need to divide. So segment margin divided by sales. And copy that over. Look how well software is doing. Very nice. I mean, wow, they're knocking it out of the park. They're doing great. So margin after cost, how does that compare to sales? They're doing the best for sure. Okay, income from operations for each segment. Income from operations is, we come back to segment because this 200 cannot be allocated across. So income from operations for each segment are these amounts, the same we have here. So I'm going to copy and paste those. I don't know why I didn't do that before. And it's not going to work like that. There we go. Again, my computer is acting slowly today. Something's up. Yeah. So why is it doing this? It's just kind of locked up and slow. So my machine needs some maintenance. So I'm copying and pasting income from operations for the three segments in the three places that we're going to use it. Margin, boy, income from operations, those are all the same amounts. Okay, average operating assets. That's going to come from up here, and it's right there. So I want these three amounts. So we could copy and paste them. I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to have to reformat. And my machine is just not working. So now I need to put the green back, and I need to put the border lines back. I had a formula in there. This is divide, so it's income from operations divide by average operating assets. Return on, and again we see software crushing it. And there was this extra question here, calculate ROI for each segment. Okay, that's these amounts here, these percentages. Which segment was most profitable? Let's fix that. well, software, right? So let's fill that in. The software segment was by far the most profitable, yeah. And residual income. So for this area right here, we need average operating assets, but then we need to multiply it times the rate of return. Let's go ahead and use a cell reference here. Equals average total assets times the return. And I'm in this particular column, so I can pull that over. And you could test these. Like I want to test the 192. 192 should be 1.6 million times 12%. Let's do it. 1.6 times 0.12. So you can test your formulas. You can click over these and you can review them here. So C 1314 becomes D 1314 becomes E 1314. And remember, residual income, you know, this one was a percentage, this one was a return, which is a percentage, this one is income, this is an amount. So it's this minus this. Income minus your calculation equals this. So we see that here. And again, the software division is, you know, the only one that has residual income. So if you look at this one, you know, if you look at each one, you can kind of see like segment margin. How is the segment doing sales versus costs related to the segment? Okay, well, they're all doing fine, but whoa, I mean, you got okay, looking really good, looking fantastic. Part C, what's going on? ROI. Income, return on investment, return, income related to your operating assets. So based on the, you know, the plant and the machines we have, how much income are we able to generate based on that plant and machine setup? And again, we see, oh, pretty good. I mean, geez, 9-10%, that's great. But 35%, whoa, that's fantastic again. Residual income is more of a comparison. So how does income compare to a return on the assets that you have? So this would kind of be like based on the assets we have and the rate of return that we want, this was kind of like our goal. And how did we do? Okay, well, we fell below, we were way on top. So this is a comparison. Residual income is a comparison. So those are the only calculations for this problem. There are other things that we could do with Chapter 9. There are some other variations, and each problem, each company, of course, is a little bit different. But those are the basics. Especially, I liked this practice problem because it got us into kind of a simpler contribution margin statement, so you can see how that goes. And then it gets us into some of these calculations here. So it's a nice combination of these performance evaluation type tools. So that's it for today. Until next time, see you soon.